everybody. Welcome back. It is Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. You're listening to a special post-Oscars episode of Midnight Film Society. I'm your host, Damian Sherman. Joining me today, as always, is...
Derick McDuff.
On today's show, the pomp and circumstance of the 97th Oscars has come and gone. Derick and I will break down all the winners, losers, and surprisingly few low points of Hollywood's biggest night. Right into the show, Midnight Film Society, gmail.com, Midnight Film Pod on Threads, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Subscribe on Pocket Cast, YouTube Podcast, and Spotify. Rate and review it on Apple Podcast. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. Derick, how we doing on Oscars post day? Post Oscars.
Good.
How we feeling?
We had plans to record on right after the Oscars, but somebody screwed up the times. So now I'm recording my third podcast today. So I'm good.
There we go. Any other ones about the Oscars, or is this the first one about the Oscars you're recording today?
This is the first one about the Oscars. Yeah, the other one were underrated and then underrated bonus content. So, but yeah, you got it, getting it all in here at one. Big day.
Yes, the the day after the day of the 97th Academy Awards. Overall, Mr. McDuff, what did you think of the show?
So I'm obviously, for people who are not aware, this was the first time that Conan O'Brien had hosted the show, and I am a big Conan fan. Conan, a lot of my humor, I don't know, honestly, if I would be a podcaster today if it wasn't for the influence of Conan O'Brien and the way that he talks about media. I grew up in the age where he was hosting his late night show, and just that would be something I would stay up till late at night whenever I could watch it. Obviously, there was a whole debacle with this Tonight Show that he had when I was in college, and he's been a very influential figure. I think he's hilarious and poignant and, always just very interesting. And he did an incredible job hosting. It was very funny, classic Conan bits. And in classic Conan style, he drew attention to a lot of important things in the world with humor.
Yeah, absolutely. He is, I think, this line gets thrown around a lot of your favorite actor's actor, your favorite performer's performer, your favorite musician's musician, whatever. I think Conan is probably, a lot of comedians' favorite comic, or a lot of late night hosts favorite late night host. He is the perfect summation. Sean Fennessy was just mentioning this, perfect summation of Hollywood in general, of he likes to show off, he likes to be the center of attention, but also can be self-deprecating, be self-aware. And the guy is fucking 61 years old. He's going to be 62 next month. It looks amazing. It can move around like he's 25. He did an amazing job of doing that, combination of song and dance man and hosting and monologuing and making jokes and, treading the line between, appropriate, not appropriate, dark humor, and did an amazing job with the jokes he told. Probably helped write a lot of it. He's no slouch when it comes to monologues and speeches and things like that. So one of the perfect hosts that they've had for a long time.
Yeah, I was very, very excited to see that, and then luckily I had the day off, so I got to watch the whole Oscars. Made sure to watch every minute of it. Loved his opening monologue. Loved all his bits, his jokes. Talking shit on, subtly talking shit on Trump and, bending the knee to Russia, and talking shit on the star of Amelia Perez and her horrible tweets, and even cracking wise at his kind of good buddy / rival Jimmy Kimmel. So all around good stuff. And I think also beyond that, it was a good Oscars. A lot of, not everything went exactly the way I wanted, but I wasn't necessarily super disappointed with stuff either.
Yeah, that is the sort of narrative of pretty much every single Oscars. Of all the Oscars that has ever been, it always runs long. You take a drink every time an Oscars runs long. Every time a speech, acceptance speech runs long. Every time there's a musical number that doesn't quite hit, every time there's a skit or a presentation or a pairing or an award that doesn't go right, that always happens. And every time, every year, people are like, my God, this thing's too long. What is its relevance even? What do people care about this thing? It's so self-indulgent. And it's like, that's the point of it. That's all of it. That's the
Well,
whole.
I think Conan brought a good point up. Like he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this seems like a very indulgent thing, but it's also bringing attention to these people in our industry that never get it, you know. And
Yes.
I was like, yeah, I completely agree.
Yes, exactly. So we'll get to all of those awards that went out tonight. Yeah. Overall, how did you feel about the people that won and the people that didn't win overall?
Overall, I was pretty satisfied. You know, we'll go through the winners like you said. There was a couple awards that I was pulling for. You know, I'm a big Conclave head, so I was really pulling for Conclave to win some more categories. I knew it was a long shot in a lot of places, but so it was a lot of things where I was like, well, I'm not disappointed in this pick here, but I would have. There was something else I would have liked to maybe have won more, but I was definitely not really. With one or two exceptions, really let down by anything. And there was also a couple things that I was like, good, really glad this won. It deserved it.
Yeah, and then just keeping the sort of 10,000 foot view, overall view we have right now. It's a pivot point. I think it's a huge sea change in the academy. I think there's we've talked about this for a few years now, but the academy has expanded its membership a lot over the years, and we're seeing that in the award winners, the award nominations. You're seeing that. I think I had this on the list for a podcast we were planning on doing, but the Kathleen Kennedy, sort of stepping down or stepping away, and there's a little. At first, it was like, oh, she's stepping down, going away. No, it's going to be like she has some things in the hopper still to come out that she's produced, but she's stepping back. Barbara Broccoli just sold her, the Bond thing to Amazon. So, big totemic people in the industry stepping back for the first time in decades. And I think we're seeing that
toxic fucking nerds losing their goddamn minds over the Kathleen Kennedy thing.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars fans are totally chill and cool and not misogynistic when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that's brought up a lot on one of my favorite podcasts, The More Civilized Age. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you, but if you want to listen to... Yeah, if you want to listen to some of the smartest people talk about Star Wars, that's something they talk about a lot of, like, they love it. They made their career, not their career, but they made a huge podcast, one of a huge Patreon podcast about it. They talk about this stuff a lot, but they, things you love, you criticize as well. And they talk about how their criticisms, they have a hard time, stating a lot of the criticisms because a lot of that stuff lines up with, the toxic and shitty sexist fanboys of it. So they're like, we hate this stuff for different reasons than
you know what, they can, everybody who wants to criticize fucking Kathleen Kennedy's missteps in Star Wars forgets that she's also running shit she's also in charge of Star Wars making things like Andor and The Mandalorian, even though they're like, well, Dave Filoni, it's just like, no, she's overseeing it all. She's the executive producer for all of it, not just the things you like.
Yeah. People contain multitudes. Production companies contain multitudes. But yeah, speaking to the sort of pivoting and the new fresh blood coming into this thing, Nick Offerman was the announcer for this, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, that's fucking Ron Swanson.
that was pretty cool. So yeah, just overall great show. Ran long. We'll talk about the longest, actually. I looked this up just now before we hopped on the mics here. The longest acceptance speech in history was given a couple days ago. So there's that.
I know who it was too.
Yeah. So with all of that, but we dive in.
At least he didn't assault anyone on stage this time.
Right, yeah. Well, there was actually, speaking to that, did you see at the beginning on the red carpet that Halle Berry? Yeah, kissed him, so made amends, I guess.
I was like, I don't know how I feel about that either.
Yeah. All right. So with all that, let's get to the awards, the actual awards. Some awards were given out this night. It wasn't just all of the stuff about the thing. There's some awards actually did happen. Let's start with the below the line stuff and work our way up.
Sounds good to me.
Best visual effects. Now, this is something that I was just rewatching, re-listening to Big Pic's breakdown of this. The Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings Two Towers, nominated for 5 awards. Unfamiliar, yes. Nominated for 5 awards, right? They won 2. It won Best Visual Effects and Best Sound Editing, I believe they mentioned. I mentioned that because Best Visual Effects of the 97 Oscars went to Dune Part 2, a second in a supposed trilogy, right? Just like Two Towers was. Return of the King came out, went on to win the biggest award, the Best Picture that year. Do you think we're going to see a similar sort of trajectory for the Dune franchise?
Yeah, I could see, them doing the same thing where like, okay, it's the last one, we're gonna like give it to this one because the first two got a few wins, a lot of nominations, but then they were like really like, I think this is the year, this is the year we really reward Return of the King, and obviously it had the greatest Oscar sweep of all time. It went 13 for 13, I think it was.
I believe so, yeah.
So yeah, I think it could Dune part whatever Dune 3 is going to be called.
Dune Messiah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. It has a. I mean, it depends on how strong of a movie year it is, but it could be like,
Yeah.
especially since Denny hasn't really won a ton of stuff. That could be like, this is the year we start rewarding it.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I don't know if you've read or know about the general plot line of Dune Messiah or any of that stuff.
Somebody turns into a space big worm.
Yeah, Amanda was mentioning this. Was like, sir, go read the storyline of Dune Messiah. It's not quite as what do you call that? The voter friendly or voter. Yeah, it's not like the Return of the King. We have this giant momentous, sword and sandals, biblical epic thing with the Lord of the Rings. It's like it's a known quantity, swords and orcs and fights and things like that. I think Doom Messiah is going to be a little off kilter, I would say, based on that. Yeah. It's not quite patent. It's not quite Ben-Hur.
I mean,
in that
this
way.
movie is like started filming like a week ago. Like this is very, very early in talk. This is way too inside baseball.
It is. And speaking of inside baseball, a lot of A-listers were missing from the ceremony, apparently because of, or supposedly rumored to be because of the filming of the Odyssey, Mr. Christopher Nolan's newest epic. So yeah, could be. Yeah. Speaking of things that are early in his production. So moving on from visual effects, we got costume design, went to Wicked. So that was cool. Paul Tazwell was the first African-American to win that award, which is crazy.
Which is very cool. Honestly, I think there's 3 of the other nominees that I think deserved it more.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I'm sure there's cool costume designs in Wicked.
Yeah.
But, Complete Unknown, fine, whatever. Conclave, incredible costume design of that. Look at all them Cardinals, Gladiator 2, not a great movie, but holy shit, they looked Roman. And then Nosferatu, gothic fucking wet dream of a movie. Just that shit was so good. So I would have been down for any of those to have won over Wicked.
Yeah.
Except for Complete Unknown.
Yeah, just digging into this into a little bit because I'm curious. Do you look at this stuff and go, well, that's the most, because Wicked is probably like the most costume design, right? And so it's like, I remember specifically 2019, I think it was, what's the movie? The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won for like best production design. It's like, what the fuck? That's very strange. I think visual effects went to 1917. So it's not always, the most production design or the most costume design. Sometimes it's subtle production design, subtle costume design. But this year, apparently they went the other way with most, right?
Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah. So moving on to and starting to talk about the biggest winner of the night, best film editing, went to Anora, Sean Baker specifically, because Sean Baker does that because the movie he directed and edited and did all that. It cost $6 million. So didn't really have any extra money to spend there. So he had to do it all himself, as he's been doing, obviously for his entire career. So very, very cool to see, right?
Yeah, that was cool. And that was the moment when I was like, I think I know the way this night is going to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the exact moment when I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about Sean Baker and Nora later a few times. Best makeup hairstyling went to The Substance again. Most most makeup and most hairstyling, right?
Yeah. But, here's the thing. You and I are stand on other sides of the fences on what we thought of The Substance. Obviously you were a lot more positive on it. I think maybe I would have liked Nosferatu to win, but I was not upset about this award at all. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, there was some really good shit done in The Substance when it came up to makeup and hairstyling. Like, when fucking, because so much of it was done practically. And like when it's that like kind of like last chunk when Demi's Moore's like a fucking old crone with tits hanging on the ground, and then she turns into that like there's that like fucking monstroso thing. I was like, damn, they really went all out, and it's not subtle.
No.
But hey, there was a lot I guess you was just say it was like the most film, but I was like very impressed by it.
Yes, yes, very, very, very good stuff. Best cinematography again. When I talked about this, when I talked about this film, I was like, I fucked up. I fucked up not seeing this in the biggest screen possible. I could have potentially gone out of my way to go see it in 70 millimeter, but I did not. And the movie is, of course, The Brutalist. Cinematographer DP Laurie Lowell Crowley apparently won for shooting The Brutalist. Have you seen The Brutalist since we last talked?
I still haven't. I keep
All right.
wanting to see it, but then I'm like, it's 4 hours long. Like when
Yeah.
I either have to take like because I can't go. A lot of times I'll go after work and see a movie.
Yeah.
I can't go and see, you know, I can't get off work at 10 and go see a movie. It starts at 11.
Yeah.
That's 4.5 hours long because A, they're not running it that late. They're not keeping the theater open that late.
Yeah.
And B, there's no, like that would take up my whole day. So I either have to like sacrifice a day off to see this thing or not see it. And I've just not seen it so far.
Yeah. So you're just gonna wait till it comes to the iWatch as as he as he
I'm gonna still
intended.
try and see it. I'm gonna
Yes.
still
All right.
try and see it.
Do it. Do it up. So that won best cinematography, best production design. Again, went to most production design. I have to assume since I still haven't seen Wicked. That took home best production design was Wicked.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. That
Yeah.
one was
It,
another
it
one. I
won.
was like, really, and like, come. I mean, like, was it? I didn't see The Brutalist.
Yeah.
We just talked about that, but like, Conclave, incredible production design. Dune,
Yeah.
like they built fucking all this crazy shit on Arrakis and Nosferatu. That hand was creeping over that city. What? Like, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I was really really let down by this category.
Yeah, and it's famously, I think, going back to a very confusing and confounding win from years past. I think it was 2019 or 2018 when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and that famously had atrocious editing. I believe that won best editing that year, and a lot of people have complained about the production design and the I don't know what you call it, the contrast between the lighting and the CGI and the backgrounds and the sort of volumification of things like this, where the background just does not look natural at all. So I think that's another confounding part of this win of just that was, whatever you think of this movie, what do you think of the sound, what do you think of the music, the performances, the production design was the thing that was sort of hammered when it first came out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's very strange to me. I don't really understand this. I guess I gotta see Wicked because it doesn't look good to me,
Yeah.
and it's weird because like I feel like it's very this movie. People are either like this is the greatest, one of the best movies of the year, or like people hate it. Like I feel like there's not a lot of in between. I feel like it's very similar to The Substance in that regard.
Yes, yes, indeed. All right, moving on to best sound, the one I was talking about earlier. Dune Part Two took best sound, as it took best visual effects, as did Two Towers 20 years ago. Yeah, more than 20
All right,
years
you
ago now.
gotta. Okay, all
Okay,
right. You're
all
really
right.
reaching here. You're really reaching here.
I thought you were going to say,
But
stop saying
yeah,
it's 20 years ago, because it was.
no.
Ah,
That's beside the point. Like
yes,
it's like obviously this one best sound. Like the sounds in this movie are phenomenal. Like
yes. Most
like
sound.
the fucking guys, like doing their chanting and like all the
Yeah.
crazy sounds that the guns will make and just like people skittering across the sound. Like you know, shout out to my friend Austin who's going to be on an episode of Underrated next week. sound designer. I know how fucking hard that is and how much work is put into these sound designs. And Dune Part Two absolutely deserve this.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, most sound design there, I believe.
Yeah.
Now some what the hell winners here. Best music,
Not
best.
surprised. It's not. It's like it's not good, but it's also not surprising.
Yeah, I was trying to. Yeah, I think I came across as surprise sounding, but I meant it to come across as like a dog turning its head. Huh? Okay. El Mal from Emilia Perez won best original song. So
I was bummed because I was
Yeah.
really hoping the Amelia Perez was going to do the reverse Return of the King and go over 13. I was really praying.
Right. Did it now? Let me see how many. I think it said at the beginning how
it
many.
got 2 out of 13. So
2 out of
spoiler
13.
alert for some stuff that's coming, but
Yeah.
and this is one of those two. And I don't know what I really would have wanted to win in this category. I think it's very funny, not funny, maybe a little funny that Diane Warren now has a streak of like 7 years in a row and like
Yeah.
16 nominations overall and no wins. She is never going to win a fucking Oscar. She's going to keep getting nominated until the sun explodes and never going to win. The other thing I want to say too
Yes,
about this
sure.
is, God, that was fucking cringy when those
Yeah.
people were giving that acceptance speech. That was horrible. That was the worst, the absolute worst.
Yeah. Remind me if you've seen Emilia Perez or not.
I have not, and I don't
Yeah.
really want to, honestly,
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say your reaction to the song is probably gonna be your reaction to the entire movie. Just like, oh,
Yeah.
cringe, ouch, you. All right, so I'm moving on from that original
And
score.
yeah, one of the
go ahead.
another time, and just will say,
Yeah.
like we said, there's this movie won 2 Oscars. It was a movie about Mexican culture and about trans people, and it did not respect either of those. And nobody who won the award, I guess, well, they did talk about Hispanic culture, but they did not talk about the trans community at all, which is exactly what this movie was banking on and using all of its goodwill towards. And nobody gave a shit when they were up on there on the awards. So whatever.
No, yeah, very tepid, very oof.
Yeah.
Soft claps, respectful claps. Yeah, from the audience. Best music original score went to Daniel Bloomberg for The Brutalist. Again, the thing that really made me think, oh boy, I should have went to a bigger screen, was the cinematography, was the visuals of the opening of The Brutalist, also the score. Just like, I'm in the hands of a fucking, if not masterpiece, but a real, one of the great American epics of our time, and I really did not do my due diligence to see this on the biggest screen possible, the best sound possible, because the score really knocked me on my ass especially during the opening credits of this thing. Really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was pulling for the Wild Robot, I'm not gonna lie. The Wild Robot has such a good fucking score. It just got me so goddamn emotional watching that movie, and when just hearing the little tidbit of it that they played for this category, I was like, fuck, this movie's so good.
Yeah. I'm a brutal boy. What can I say? I'm a Sean Fantasy head and brutal boy.
You haven't even seen this movie. Can you stop like riding so hard for it?
The Brutalist? I've seen The Brutalist, literally.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were saying you hadn't seen it.
No, remember, I just
because you saw it on your phone or whatever.
I saw it on a regular theater screen is what I'm referencing. Yeah.
But you still saw it on the theater then.
In a theater,
well,
yes.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Couple quick ones here. Best animated short went to In the Shadow of the Cypress. Not heard of those things. Best live action short film. I'm Not a Robot. I don't know. Derek, do you have any
I don't really. Yeah, I have not seen any of the shorts, so could not comment.
I did see them. I want to say a couple years ago. Definitely went down a rabbit hole and saw many of them. So yeah. Best documentary short film went to The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Apparently, went down some YouTube holes here and listened to some commentaries by people that have seen all of the shorts, and they said this was probably the weakest of them, unfortunately. So that's not great there. Best documentary feature film went to No Other Land, which was not a surprise win there. That was, speculated to win for a very long time. And just, very heartfelt and hard to tell story, hard to look at, hard to think about, hard to what do you call that? Hard to just put your face in that. Not to turn away, to embrace it, to fully feel what's going on over there, and just definitely deserved it.
Yeah, good, and pretty good speech
Yes.
by the winners, I would say.
Yeah, really good speech. I thought told a very good line of them saying, it's not controversial. Like it's really not, but in that crowd at that moment, speaking to the world, really, to try to, say something poignant and meaningful, but not controversial. Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah. So best international feature film went to I'm Still Here, which also was nominated for best picture. Like I think we did our predictions a couple weeks ago, and you said it's nominated for best picture. So I'm assuming this is the one that's going to take it, and you were correct.
Yeah, and I did get a chance to see this movie. Phenomenal film. Really, really powerful movie. I think I talked about it last episode. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, if not, I really, really found this movie, especially in the day and age we're living in, the way people are dealing with totalitarian governments, and just like the lasting impact that has, not just immediately, but for decades, the scars that are left, really powerful, and great performance by its leading actress, and was a big fan of this one. So glad it won. Like I said, this movie got nominated for Best Picture. Probably going to win this award.
Yeah. I think it was okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of Parasite. I was like, there was something else that got nominated. It was like obviously going to win the best international feature. Yeah. So the other nominations, I've seen two of them. I saw Emilia Perez and Flo. We'll talk about Flo later. And the girl
see Flo.
Nice. The Girl with the Needle and Seed of the Sacred Fig rounded out the best international features there. Best animated feature film, like I just said, Flo took that. The other nominations were Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, A Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot, which I think Wild Robot, probably my second choice there to win it, but Flo did end up taking it. An extraordinary, very special film. I mentioned this to, I was texting with Andy just recently because he wants to see it now because it won. I said, it's made by like 10 people, made on Blender, yes. Thank you.
Fucking Blender, a free program.
Yeah, free program. Anybody can get it. Really, really incredible that it's a very special thing that this won, right?
Like, here's the thing. Like, I think Wild Robot was a better movie. Obviously, it was on my top 10 list. I know there was, Inside Out 2 was on your top 10 list, so we both had other movies higher in this category, but the fact that it was made by 10 people, that it was made on free software, and was beating a movie that cost, Inside Out 2, that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and was made by Hollywood studios, and it's pretty phenomenal, and I think that's just such a cool story.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Moving on to best writing adapted screenplay, we have Conclave taking home the award there.
Fucking yeah, dude. Conclave. I'm a big Conclave head. Yep. Conclave was the one I knew it was a long shot, but it was one I was pulling for in a lot of the categories this evening, and I was just like, man, Conclave, that is such a good fucking script. So I was really, really stoked when it got this, because I was like, it might be all we get, guys. Let's enjoy this moment.
Let me see. Was it the only thing spoiling the upcoming things here?
It was indeed.
It was. What did the word? It was so simple. All right, so that was that. Adapted screenplay. Of the other nominations, I've seen all of them except for Nickel Boys, which is really one of the big ones I still really want to see up that list there.
Yeah.
Best Writing Original Screenplay. Again, this is second of many wins from that night. Nora taking it over Brutalist, Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance.
This is when I was like, okay, I think it's a lock.
Yes, this is, historically one of the big five, including Best Actor, Best Actress, Director, and Best Picture. So, that was definitely a indicator of things to come for the rest of the night. Next up, we have Best Actress in a Supporting Role. This one, let me ask you, Derek, why do you think they put such a substantial and important award, being the first one out of the gate?
You gotta start with something big. You gotta
Yeah,
like, okay, the movie, we're getting going.
yeah,
Don't they do actor relatively early too? I
I
think.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a couple of awards that they know people want to see, because you can't just have all the good stuff at the end, because people will only just turn on at the end. Then they won't watch the first half. So you gotta put something big at the beginning.
Yes, gotcha. So yeah, Zoe Saldana, one for Amelia Perez. Really emotional. You have
This was not at the beginning of the night. This was at the end of the night. I remember. You're
best.
you're mixing things up, bud.
Missing things up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where did I go here? Writing. Da 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 da. Oh, because it's yeah. The Wikipedia puts them in.
The order of prestige, not by what they
prestige.
were.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you might be thinking of, it was best. I think it was uh actor in a supporting role that was relatively early.
Oh, okay. So yes, yeah, Zoe Saldana. Very, very emotional acceptance speech
Yeah.
there. Really, really, really well
Yeah.
done. Yeah, liked it a
Really
lot.
good speech about her Dominican heritage. I'm always been a big fan of hers, so it was very, very cool moment.
Yeah. Next up, we have Best Actor in a Supporting Role. It was this was the Ke Huy Quan of this year. It was bestowed upon Kieran Culkin many, many months ago, and yeah, not a big surprise, right?
No, yeah, and I haven't even seen that movie, and I knew that this was what was going to happen.
Yeah,
I thought he gave a pretty funny, good speech.
yeah.
So yeah, fine with this.
Very funny about, if people don't know, apparently it was like the Emmys a couple of years ago. He made a similar acceptance speech for Succession, saying how because he won this award, his wife is going to bestow upon him another child. And then he was saying how he was saying the last couple nights ago at the Oscars when he won for Real Pain, saying how, well, you said if I won an Oscar, you give me a fourth one, so let's get to it, or something like that.
Yeah.
Very funny. So yeah, this was the only award that Anora did not pick up this night. It would have been Yuri Borisov for his role as Igor in Anora. Didn't quite get the 5-peat there. Moving on to Best Actress in a Leading Role, we have I'll say the nominations just to lead in here. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gaston for Amelia Perez, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. But in a surprise win, Mikey
Was this
Madison.
surprising?
I think
thought it
so.
was-
I think I am going to say right here that for me, I think for a lot of people, this was the biggest surprise of the night.
Really, I thought that she was the front runner. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
I thought it was like it was like kind of a 2-horse race between her and Demi.
between her and Demi. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
not surprising that she was in the lead, or it could have happened. It's just young, very young. What's the name of those people? Ingenue, like the young
Yeah.
female. Right out of the gate. I think that's sometimes rare, right? In the first
Yeah,
first
yeah. I mean,
nomination.
she's
Yeah,
she's very, very good in this.
it's very
I will
good.
say
Yeah,
she's incredible in this movie. I think the movie is like Sean Baker said. Like if Quentin Tarantino doesn't cast her in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there is no Honora. I think
yes,
that's very, very true. But I will also say, obviously I think Demi Moore was great in The Substance, despite my problems with that movie. I think my pick for this would have been Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here. I think her performance is so profound and heartbreaking and powerful in that movie, of just like a mother who is losing everything but still has to be strong for her kids. She's so good in it. And I think the fact that she's even nominated when the Oscars in acting categories tend not to they've been very progressive with nominating films in other categories, best director, best picture, but when it comes to like non-English speaking films, they are not great about nominating those actors. And the fact that she even stole a nomination is profound. I knew she never had a shot because she gives a performance in Portuguese and not in English.
yeah.
But I think that she, for me, was the greatest performance of year of any gender.
Nice. Definitely gotta check it out. All right, the big ones. Best Actor in a Leading Role. Nominees were Timothy Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Chalamet, baby. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. But it went to Adrian Brody winning Best Actor for the second time, putting him in extremely rarefied air, right?
Yeah, this is a bummer because he's of the three. I guess I would maybe put him above. I didn't see this performance, so I don't know. But I think that Sebastian Stan was incredible and horrifying in The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Chalamet was fine, but Ralph Fiennes, fuck man, he was so goddamn good. Like Ralph Fiennes and like I think like that movie should have won a lot of acting categories, and it got 2 nominations, which
Yeah.
is a bummer. But I think that really could have cleaned up in Best Supporting, and it didn't even get any nominations, which is wild to me. Like you could have got 3 nominations at least out of that movie in that category. And Ralph Fiennes is never been better, and he's had an incredible career. And he should have gotten one. And I don't know if this is, just hearsay, but I heard that multiple Academy voters were like, "Well, he won one for Schindler's
Yeah.
List. Let's give it to Brody." It's like, wait, he didn't win. Brody's won before. What are you talking about?
I saw that too. Yeah. I mean, it's probably the safest pick of the night. Speaking of surprise wins, this is probably the safest pick. It's more like you're saying. It's the voter academy has definitely expanded over the years, and we're seeing more diversity and variety in the picks and the nominees. But this is probably, in a lot of ways, the safest pick for not just for the person themselves as the actor themselves, but also the movie and the performance and all of that stuff. It's an incredibly well made epic, but it is still probably the most traditional Oscar movie out there this year, right? At least
and
one of them.
yeah, and I will say also, we alluded to it earlier. This guy's speech absolutely sucked. A rambling, self-congratulatory speech where he literally told the people to shut up and stop playing him off because he's already won an Oscar and he's so great. And I fucking kind of can't stand Adrian Brody in that giving that speech.
Yeah, it was long. It was rambly. He got to his destination about love winning over hate, which is it's a good idea. Good.
Good generic thing.
Good generic thing.
Will Smith also said something similar after he slapped the shit out of Chris Rock.
Yeah, so I think Adrian pulled ahead there in terms of good speeches.
Yeah, sure. And like I said, at least he didn't sexually assault anyone. Interesting who he's married to, has a history of being married to abusers, but that's maybe that's just a coincidence, but I don't know.
It is the longest speech in Oscars history. He spoke for 5 minutes and 40 seconds, 10 seconds longer than Greer Garson's Best Actress speech for Mrs. Miniver in 1942. So that's
wow.
Yeah, there you go, man. You did the thing. You spoke for the longest time. Congratulations,
Adrian.
Adrian Brody.
He got played off twice.
He got played off twice.
So long.
Anyways, let's get to the big two. Best Director nominees are Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mangold for Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Chloe Farjat for The Substance. But the winner, the biggest winner of the night, and, well, I guess I'll just say it right now, right here, tied for most wins in a single evening by one person, Sean Baker for Anora.
Yeah, which is impressive, and I think that he fully deserved it.
Yeah.
I think that this movie, I liked it quite a bit. I think it was really, really well directed. Not only is it tied, but here's the thing: he's the only person to do that for one film, because the last person who did that, Walt Disney, did it for 2 different films on the same night. He is the first person to win 4 Academy Awards for one film the same night. That is with an asterisk of technically Bong Joon-ho did not get the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film. That went to South Korea and not to him, but still pretty cool.
Yes, and it's also, Four Awards in One Night gives him more Academy Awards than people like Steven Spielberg, which is really insane to think about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
it is very wild. Let's see. Let me go back to the notes here. So yeah, that leaves us with one award of the night. The best picture nominees are The Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, which is that there? Yeah, Nickel Boys. I'm just stopping on because I need to see it, and also I was curious
Yeah, me
if
too.
how many awards it got nominated for. I believe that one and original or adapted screenplay, I believe, got in there as well. But yeah, Nickel Boy's Substance, which is wild, like the Substance
Yeah,
being
that's
nominated
insane.
for Best Picture, yeah. And then Wicked. A lot of, let me see, I'm trying to tally up the genre pictures in this Best Picture. Dune Part 2, Substance, and Wicked. Three definably genre films in Best Picture. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wicked is the last one, but the winner of the night, biggest winner of the night, winning 5 Oscars out of 6 nominations, Anora won Best Freaking Picture. What do you think?
You know what? I liked this movie a lot. I think it was like I said, this is a movie I think was an honorable mention for me when we did our top 10 of the year. I was pulling for Conclave, so I was a little sad. It was an outside shot. This was one where it was like it's probably going to be a Nora, maybe The Brutalist, and then like a slight chance that Conclave was going to get it. So I didn't have a lot of hope, especially after we saw okay, it won editing and then it won screenplay, and I was like, all right, well, if it takes home director, that's pretty much a wrap. And then of course, and I was when Conclave also won best screenplay, I was like maybe, and I was like no. But still, impressive film, really great movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'm glad it won. And it's a win for independent film too. So
Yes.
how can you be sad about that?
Yeah, I think you said everything I was going to say. Just to reiterate, it's really impressive and very indicative and very good sign of things to come. They were just mentioning this on the Big Pick, but it is an inflection point this year, not just with people stepping away from franchises, from studios, from the all of that stuff happening. You have Oppenheimer winning last year, which was probably one of the most, going back to things like Patton and Ben-Hur and things like that winning, one of the most, safest traditional movies to win in a long time. But that's kind of the outlier now. I think those picks and those nominations and those are going to be the outliers. I think, the year before, Everything Everywhere at Once, genre film, very crazy out there, independent movie, low budget winning again. Coda from the year before, but that's also low budget. It's not genre, it's not weird, it's not out there, but it is low budget. Nomadland, very low budget. Parasite, low budget, very interesting international win. Parasite, one of the best one of the best wins of a long time. Derek, do you feel like, as I do, this sort of echoes of 2019 in the fact that they got it right, and probably the best movie that year and the most interesting movie and the most diverse movie out there won in 2019 with Parasite? Are you feeling the same feelings this year as well?
I just told you I liked Conclave better, but um, I think, well, it's interesting because you brought up all these small budget pictures, and I think now that's what's going to win, right? It's these smaller films that you know are not necessarily as popular. Or I think Oppenheimer is now the outlier, where it's like, oh, it's a popular movie that made a lot of money at the box office and won Best Picture. I think that's become rare and rarer when it was the norm, like you alluded to before. But yeah, I think, and it's not a bad thing that these smaller movies like Anora are winning. But I do think it's a it's thing also when movies that people see and like a lot get both nominations and wins.
Yeah, it's really great to see that stuff. Let's see, where was I going with that? Yeah, so good night overall. 3 hours
Yeah.
and 50 minutes, but a well deserved 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Let me see. So yeah, most nominations went to Amelia Perez, but the Anora won 5, Brutalist won 3, and Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez and Wicked came out with 2 as well. Let me see. So with that, let's go to my favorite thing about the Oscars and about movies. The stats. I'm a stat boy. Love me some
The
stats.
stats.
Yes. They did the montage. They did the in memoriam montage. Had a lot of people on there. Obviously, one of the biggest, most recent losses was Gene Hackman. Speaking of, multiple award-winning, Best Picture, Best Actor winning actors.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman was one of them. So we lost him most notably very recently. The list of people that were in the in memoriam, we're missing a few, and we have them on the doc here or on the Wikipedia, and it is pretty stunning and very, for people that like these people, for people that were, touched by their passing. Somebody like Bernard Hill just passed recently, who wasn't in there. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, come on, guys, it wasn't a movie that won Best Picture, not 20 years ago, but still. Elaine Delon passed recently. Tony Todd passed recently. So a lot of people that we're probably hoping to see on there, at least for a little bit. It's just, it's 2 or 3 seconds per person. You could probably fit them in there.
Right. They love to snub these black actors. You mentioned Tony Todd. I remember I was very upset Eartha Kitt a few years ago. You didn't even mention the biggest snub of them all, Damien.
What's that?
O.J. Simpson.
That's very funny. Yeah. I can't forget his amazing contributions to cinema in the Naked Gun films. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
The Towering Inferno. Who could forget?
Exactly.
Athlete turned actor. And then I don't think anything notable happened after that.
Yeah, nothing exactly.
He was a writer. I know he wrote a book. I'm not sure what it was about.
Yes, something about maybe if he did it or not. I'm not sure.
It's no way to know.
No way to know exactly. Let's see. So they did speaking of other things, but during the broadcast they did a James Bond tribute, which was okay. Felt like a send off again of the Broccoli franchise going to a faceless conglomerate. Let me see if there's anything else we missed mentioning here. Anything else about the show, about presentations, jokes, skits, things you want to mention about the show?
It was great. I loved the bit about the reference to the Super Bowl halftime show. I thought that was pretty great. The Kendrick Lamar reference, Drake reference.
Yes.
That was good stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, Conan was killing it. Like I said, there's plenty of good jokes. It really felt like watching his old TV show again. It felt like him.
It did. It really did. Felt like that sort of irreverent, out there, thing that he's been doing for a long time. He brought it to one of the biggest stages in the world, which is really great to see. Again, talking about this new life they're infusing into this, 97-year-old thing. It's going to be 100 years old pretty soon, which is wild. But yeah, I think for the people like us, people that care about this thing, it is very exciting to see this sort of seismic sea change that's going on right now.
Yeah, most definitely, I would say.
Yeah, so that about wraps it up for us here. If you want to write into Midnight Film Society at gmail.com, leave your thoughts, feelings about the ceremony, about our commentary on it. All right, do you want to do, let's see, you want to do a letterbox assignment real quick? Throw some in there?
We still have our ones from last week that we didn't do, so let's just save them.
Okay, yes, I was going to mention that. You have one.
You have one too. I texted you about it, but you never said anything back.
What was my assignment? The Last Seduction. Did I talk about Last Seduction? That being like a noir?
That was the one you got last time, I think. Did you watch it?
I did. Yeah, I talked about it in the last show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just looking at I was looking at the podcast 204 notes.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, so I guess that about does it. Yeah, I haven't seen too much. Have you? We'll do a little bit of what we've been watching real quick. Have you seen anything you want to shout out real quick?
I mean, Captain America: Brave New World, Flo, I guess. Watched that. I'm Still Here. A lot of so those are a Complete Unknown. Did I talk about that last time?
You did, yeah. Complete Unknown, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so then did I talk about I'm Still Here last time?
Not last time, so. No.
Okay, well, I Am Still Here. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit on the show or today, so it was really good. Yeah. Flo also found really good, and then Captain America: Brave New World, but which I found something. We'll talk about that over my podcast, Infinity Stones and Dragon Bones.
You got a podcast called Infinity Stones, Dragon Bones. You also have a podcast called Underrated, I believe, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So underrated movie podcast. Look that up. You'll find plenty of episodes. Over 150 episodes of me talking about underrated and underappreciated movies. Sometimes Damien's even on there to talk with me, including recently when we talked
Yeah.
about The Wolfman from 10. So yeah. So check that out. Got a new episode coming out next week with Austin Olivia Kendrick, who I alluded to earlier, talking about Tick Tick Boom.
Oh, sick. All right. That's pretty cool. That one with Andrew Garfield, who was a presenter last night. Yeah, very cool.
Yes, he was.
Nice, nice. All right. So I believe that'll do it for us here at Midnight Film Society. I've been Damien.
And I've been Derek.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.